I don't need to tell you that there's frustration across the country due to the ongoing scheduled power cuts. City of Joburg says it is looking to end its dependence on Eskom. Meanwhile, in Mokopane in Limpopo, residents there say whenever there are blackouts, there are also water cuts. This, of course, due to boreholes failing to pump water to reservoirs. Those pumps, of course, require electricity. Our reporters Aviwe, Mtila and Moloto have been following up on these different angles. Let's speak to both of them now. And Aviwe, I'm going to start with you in Johannesburg. You've just been doing the rounds all day today, but the City of Johannesburg, the country's largest metropole, is saying we need to reduce our dependence on Eskom as quickly as possible.
As quickly as possible. Even December is when the residents of Johannesburg have been promised to see a change from the shift from Eskom and the dependence of the city power itself in bringing in those IPPs. They say that, in fact, an example of what led to the blowout that the industrial substation suffered, and a lot of communities there, we do understand, didn't have power for at least 3 days, Sally, because of the substation blowing up, essentially. And that was caused by overloading, we are told, when load shedding subsided and then the electricity came back. The infrastructure couldn't handle the surge of that electricity. In fact, in speaking to the MMC of Environment and Infrastructure, Michael Sun, he suggests that the infrastructure of these substations in their entirety can't sustain the on and off that load shedding brings with them. And they're now looking to bring in IPPs in the mix so that they can have their own independence, shifting away from Eskom. It's a conversation we had a bit earlier on at the industrial substation. Let's take a listen to that.
But simply we cannot rely on Eskom anymore. And we need to relook at the dynamics to ensure that we bring more independent power producers. We need to cut the red tape to ensure that we feed energy into the grid so our residents and customers can receive uninterrupted power supplies.
And of course, it's not just about the breakdowns with our aging fleet of power stations. It's also cable theft, not to mention the knock-on that we see with water supply. But there was a major cable theft incident over the weekend. You spoke to City Power about that. What did they tell you?
So what we found out, Sally, is that the Zamazamas don't only operate illegally in the mines, but also in the substations themselves. We were told at the Roodepoort substation that 3.5 million rands worth of cable was stolen from that substations, which left many communities without electricity again for another 3 days. Total blackouts there. In fact, we are told that to the tune of 100 million rand plus is what the city power suffers from the substations annually, losing it to cable theft. In fact, another conversation that I had there with the acting CEO of City Power, Isaac Rampedi, who was at pains in detailing how then their security efforts are now coming to play. You'd imagine, Sally, they have lost at least 100 million rand over the year. You'd expect that plans would be in place, but we're only being told that, in fact, only now those plans are being in place with the South African Police Service and government in their entirety. A bit disappointing if you ask me, but here's a conversation that we had a bit earlier on with the acting CEO of City Power, Isaac Rampedi.
This weekend, we lost about 3.5 million worth of damages, which were done by, we suspect heavily that, it's got something to do with the Zamazama activities which are happening around the station. So normally when these guys are underground and then they didn't get what they were looking for that day, we become the easy targets. As you can see, they come through the holes here, and there is a hole on the fence which they used to come in, where now they came into the station. They tie up the security guards. Obviously, they are heavily armed. Our security guards are not a match against them. So, and they tied them up and they started cutting all the cables. So, as a result, we had 3 days of blackouts for all these customers around the Roodepoort CBD.
And has there been any word in the last couple of hours from Eskom on how long we might be facing stage 5 of load shedding?
Coincidentally, Sally, you asked that at the backdrop of me speaking to the Eskom spokesperson, Sikonati Machanta, just a bit earlier on today, hearing those murmurs that the president would be meeting with Eskom at megawatts possibly today. He did say that it's the first time that he was hearing of that from me, and he has no knowledge of that meeting. In fact, no word coming out from Eskom as we are on stage 5 indefinitely. A bit disappointing, as you'd see, the many traffic lights that are currently out in Johannesburg. A difficult job for example, the traffic reporter would be detailing how many traffic lights are out, as there are more traffic lights that are out than those that are actually on.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you say, they said they'll inform us if anything changes. All we heard yesterday was that we're moving to stage 5, but we don't know anything beyond that. Certainly we'll keep an eye on that story. We know that the president did return from his international trip today, so we await further developments. Moloko, I want to bring you in now. You've been in Mokopane in Limpopo. Just talk to me about the villages you visited. Obviously, it's very easy to see the impact of load shedding in a big urban area. We see the traffic chaos. We see the rows of businesses that are just not able to function. But it must have a massive impact in the various small villages in and around the area you are in. Tell me what you've seen today.
Hello, Sally. Well, South Africans have certainly become accustomed to the inconvenience and the darkness that they tend to endure when there's blackouts keep on rolling. But in the northernmost province of Limpopo, in villages, particularly around Mokopane, the small town here, they will tell you that their basic human rights are actually being trampled upon, despite the Bill of Rights saying that they have a right to access clean, drinkable water. When there's a load shedding, they say that they do experience water cuts. The municipality of Mokopane last night issuing out a statement alerting the residents that due to the rolling blackouts, they will not be able to energize the boreholes. And this is affecting, they say, about 179 villages in this area, but also in urban parts of this area in the CBD and also in the nearby suburbs. We went to one of the village, Moshate, just outside Mokopane, and there we actually found that standpipes inside the households, Sally, are dry. When you open it, nothing really comes out. In some areas, they are saying that they have not had water since Friday, but in some villages they say they have not had water for the past weeks. We spoke to one gentleman, his name is Philemon Mokotwa. He is a resident in Moshate village. He is not just a resident, he is also a member of the local water committee, and this is what he said, pouring out the frustrations of water shortage.
Yeah, metse ke paralela mo community ya borena around Moshate ka re sona le ona jela ka badudi go mana le re re fetsa re le ka utsibile tsa matso ka dipotleng ba re rekishetsa ona batho ba ba borileng ba di borgate.
Yeah, and there's no guarantee that the electricity problems are going to end anytime soon, and therefore the knock-on effect on water. Has the municipality got any plans in place to deal with this in Mokopane and Limpopo?
Well, Sally, the reality is that this issue of the inconvenience or the impact of load shedding on the supply of water is not only prevalent in Mokopane. Just a short while ago, the city of Polokwane, which is neighboring Mokopane, that municipality issued a media statement also saying that the inconvenience is also affecting the water supply, saying that it is difficult for them to fill up the reservoirs as well. But here we went to speak to the municipal spokesperson of Mogalakwena, Malisala Selukela, trying to find out whether they have contingency plan in place. And he said that they are trying with the little number of trucks that they have to provide water, but that's not enough. But he also went on to say that they are engaging and they will continue to engage with the mining houses in the area. We know that Canadian Ivan Platts mine is also mining in the area, but but also the Mogalakwena mine that is owned by Anglo-American is also mining in this area of Mokopane. He's saying that management of the municipality will continue to engage with those mines so that if possible they can be able to install at least the solar panels where these boreholes are being operated, because as a municipality they simply don't have enough budget to buy a generator for every borehole. Let's listen to Malisa Lasolokela.
Yes, as the municipality, I can say there is a plan to procure more water tankers, and then also engagements with the Mogalakwena and Anglo Platinum mine, which has been helpful for quite a lot of time, so that they can assist us with energizing our boreholes with solars. So because of as and when there is a constant load shedding, our boreholes, which are being energized by that, they are failing to pump water to our reservoirs. Then you'll remember that we are also from winter, and then there's not been a rainfall recently, so our boreholes are dry.
And besides this power supply problem and then the water supply problem, the mayor of Mokopane had to run for his life earlier today. What on earth happened?
Well, Sally, that is because today the council of this Mogalakwena local municipality was scheduled to hold a special council meeting to discuss several issues. Among them, the municipality wants to appeal last week's High Court judgment of the Polokwane High Court, which has set aside the appointment of a municipal manager here because the court said that council processes were not followed when he was appointed. Now, then the workers here, we were told, because we were not here, they stormed into the council meeting into a council chamber where the mayor and some of the mayoral committee were holding an Eskom meeting before that council meeting was going to be held. And there was pandemonium. We are told the police had to become called in to come here and supervise this situation. I mean, it's almost 5:15, and as you can see behind me, these workers are saying that they don't want this particular municipal manager who's been appointed to start working. They don't want him here, they say. And they are saying that if the municipality and the mayor wants to appeal that High Court judgment, they must not utilize the funds of the municipality. But earlier when we spoke to the officials, they are saying with the help of the police, they actually are going to ensure that the special council continues. We will obviously try to stay here and see what will happen, Sally.
A lot of problems in that area. Load shedding is but one of them. Thank you so much. That, of course, is Moloto in Limpopo and Aviwe Mtila here in Johannesburg.